Feelinz podcast. We back at it again with a very distinguished special guest, Tariq Nasheed. Say what up to the people, man. There's so many adjectives I could use to try to describe this guy. I know he's an author, he's a writer, he's a content creator, he's a public speaker, he's a historian, and he's formerly a lot of things. He's the owner of also one of the most prideful establishments I can imagine in the Los Angeles area when it comes to us being black, with the Hidden History Museum. That was long in development. It's very refreshing to hear one of our spokespersons promise and project something and then actually produce it. So I want to salute you on that, bro.
Man, my pleasure. You having me here.
Of course.
You know, I don't do too many interviews like that.
Yeah, I salute that.
My guy right here, this is my dude. So, you know, I'm going to come look out for the homie.
Indeed. And I usually do a lot of freestyling when I do these interviews, right?
Yeah.
But for this interview, I called myself doing a lot of research. So I went and looked up a few things, and the research is kind of out of the window. What I found is when I was listening to a lot of the recent content, I've had questions in my mind for the last few years that I want to start off asking you about.
Yo.
So for one, the name, FBA.
Yeah.
As initials, it doesn't even really flow well. And then when you actually say fundamental Black American, foundational,
yeah,
it's they see what I'm saying,
yeah.
And it's so. What is it about that such a difficult to remember collection of words that caused you to be comfortable to rest right there versus keep thinking it through and come with something else?
Yeah, foundational Black American. I use that term because it's a term that can't be remixed. See, people can kind of remix other terms, like African American. That doesn't describe the people of the lineage here. We come from a specific lineage. Descendants of slaves, descendants of freedmen. We are the foundation of America. So if you say a person is an African American, an immigrant from Nigeria who comes over here is an African American. Charlize Theron, who was from South Africa, she's an African American. So a lot of people can remix African American. People can remix Negro. People can remix colored. So a lot of these terms that were used to describe us, a lot of people can latch on to it, and that's been a problem. Foundational Black American is a term that cannot be remixed. You're only talking about one group. There's only one group of Black people who built this country from scratch, and that is us, the descendants of freedmen, foundational Black Americans. And I think that's the reason why a lot of people kind of have a problem with the term. They somehow accuse us of being divisive, but it's no, we're just looking at our lineage.
Correct.
We have a specific lineage that we're acknowledging, especially when we're discussing the need of getting reparations, because there's a big reparations movement right now.
That was the next word on my list. Go ahead, keep talking.
And when people see that we're making traction with this reparation thing, because we have the political class talking about it, it's on the table. They're openly acknowledging it. So for a long time, when we talk about reparations, the conversation got smacked down. Like,
Exactly.
Shut up. And you ain't got to get nothing. And everybody kind of laughed at us.
Like the concept of a Black president.
Right, right. Now that we got some traction, you got a lot of other people saying, well, damn, if they get reparations, hell, I'm kind of African-American too. Can I qualify? And we're saying, hey, let's wait a minute. We're not going to have race-based reparations. We're going to have lineage-based reparations. So we're really focused on our lineage. So that's where the term foundational Black American comes into play, and that's why it's so effective.
Two-part question.
Yeah.
First, you and I look like we could have the same aunties, grandparents, or something like that. So I would just assume if you qualify, I qualify.
Yeah, because your family is originally from Texas.
Texas, on my mother's side.
Right.
And then on my father's side, as far as I can remember, Arkansas.
Yeah.
So, but then I'm basing on skin tone and things of that nature, bone structure. Hair texture, I don't know. You look like you might have a little more cut. I don't know. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, we might have some utilized. But so I would just assume, I want to know, outside of you and I just assume I'm included, how do we know for a fact we would be in qualification for reparations if they were a reality? And the second part, in the term foundational Black Americans, why do we accept the word black to identify is when there's no other group of people on the face of the earth that are identified by the shade of the skin. Why are we not formulating a term that excludes our color?
Well, you do have some Native American tribes like the Blackfoot Indians, stuff like that. Yeah, so there are some terms. So
Blackfoot Indians indicates a natural color of a foot, or
that was the original. See, a lot of the Native American tribes, these were terms given to them by the Spanish. You got to understand,
just like black.
Right. So they gave them descriptive terms. There's the Creek Indians. There's no such thing as a Creek Indian. The Spanish saw a bunch of Native Americans by a creek, said, "You're the Creek Indians." There's no such thing as a Seminole. The word Seminole is based on the Spanish word runaway, because there were a lot of runaway blacks living with the Creeks, and they started the Seminoles.
That's the type of education that's needed. Right. Because the word Seminole's been around so long, I have no idea what it means, but it's prestigious. Teams call themselves Seminoles.
Right.
You would never know. Go ahead. That's
it's runaway. Yeah, the Seminoles, half of them were black. The military arm of the Seminoles down in Florida, who fought the United States government, they were black. In fact, the United States government said, this is not a Negro, this is not an Indian war, this is a Negro war. These Seminoles are Negroes. We're fighting a bunch of niggas. So the Seminoles, most of them were black people, because the term means runaway. The Indians out in Arkansas, or not Arkansas, Arizona. What's that Indian tribe? Apache, right. Their names, no. Now I'm thinking Navajo. The Navajo Indians.
Navajo and Apache, the top two names that you hear.
The Navajos, their real name is the Dene Indians. That's their original name. Navajo, that was an amalgamation of the word horse thief. That was a pejorative term given to them.
Navajo?
Yeah, that was a...
Who would have thought this is such a common...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but they're originally called the Dene people. So a lot of these names were thrown on us anyway. So our thing is, we understand historically that we've been classified as black. We have been distinctively marginalized as a group of people. So we're embracing our lineage. And we use the name black because we're not going to let black be negative just because the white supremacists made it negative.
It's similar to the A versus the ER.
Right.
You're going to fly it out.
Just because they made the thing negative don't mean that we have to accept it as a negative. There's nothing wrong with black. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging yourself as black. Nothing wrong with it at all. We have to start designating ourselves. When we start naming and labeling ourselves, that's a power move. Because when the white supremacists show up, the first thing they do is start labeling everything.
I just heard you explain that to somebody.
Yeah.
And they were trying to challenge you as far as being a FBA in your positions, and they were from afar.
Yeah.
And you were telling them, well, the difference between our experience and their experience. And he was accented and calling you mate, but he was African.
Yeah. But real shit. A lot of the African countries now, some of the names were given to them. Like Nigeria, that country was named by a white woman, Flora Shaw, I think his name. A white woman from Europe named that country Nigeria. So a lot of folks don't know that a lot of these names that are thrown on people, these are names that were given by the white supremacists anyway.
I got a word I need you to define for me, because I follow you and I feel like I'm not supposed to be acceptive of this class of people, but I don't really know what they are. What are tethers?
Tethers, those
like you knew what I was going to say.
Yeah, I knew you were about to say the tethers. Yeah, tethers. Those are people who are non-FBA who try to undermine us. They try to pretend to be us in order to infiltrate us and undermine us. So you have a lot of people who might look like us. They black with an afro. But when we go down to have some kind of political conversation about getting reparations, they'll pop in and say, hey, we don't need no reparations. We need to stop being so lazy.
Candace Owens?
Yeah. Then we start looking around like, who the fuck man is this? Who's that? Then nobody knows who the fuck this person is. We find out the person is foreign. That's a tether. So, but not all people who are foreign are tethers. Let's get that straight, because a lot of people, a tether is basically a foreign coon.
Okay.
That's the best way to describe it.
Okay.
A coon with a passport.
Okay. Do they have to have an accent, or just
no?
No.
A lot of them. That's what makes them a good tether, when they get rid of their accent and they can pretend to be a foundational Black American. Those are the.
Candace is an FBA, but so where does she fall?
No, because Candace identifies as Caribbean. Because her people they're from like St. Thomas somewhere.
So what happens when you have an FBA that acts like a tether? They're not a tether though, huh?
No, well, they're just
Tether
coon.
type.
That's just a coon.
That's a coon.
Yeah, that's just a coon.
Okay.
Like a Jesse Lee Peterson, he's from like the South, but he's just a coon. So,
Have you ever went and had that experience?
what?
To set up in front of him?
Oh yeah, a few times. Yeah. Oh yeah. You haven't seen
that. Did you spank him?
No. What did I gave? I gave him a coon award. I literally gave him. Oh, you got to see that. Y'all got to. Yeah.
That's classic.
Okay.
Yeah, I gave him an award for being a coon. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Now, he's an OG coon. I had to give him his flowers for being a coon.
Tell me this, off camera.
He knows he's a coon.
No,
That's
but
the thing. I can
off camera behind the scene, is he that?
Yes,
he's that
coon.
much of that.
He's been in my house before. He was in one of my movies.
So he is one of us,
He's-
kind of.
Yeah, he's a for real coon. He's not. It's not play cooning. He was at my house. We were. I had him in Hidden Colors 5, I think. And he got to my house. He was like, "Hey, Nasheed, this is a real nice house." I was like, "Well, thank you." He said, "If all these other blacks weren't so lazy, they can be like you." I'm like, "Damn, nigga."
Damn. I think he was still in character, bro.
Yeah. My camera crew was like, "Is he for real?"
No, he wasn't. He saw the cameras.
No, they weren't filming yet. This was before they were filming.
I can't believe this dude can really be that dude.
Man, it's some Uncle Ruckuses out here, dude.
Can anybody else we ever reference amongst us that has accumulated much success? Immediately I say shout out to them. I just can't do it right now.
Man.
I gotta say fuck him because I don't know him, but I don't like the content unless it's a spoof.
Yeah.
If it's a spoof, I can fuck with him.
But see, the thing is, Jesse is such a coon, it becomes caricaturist. So when he walks in the room, okay, we know what he's about. So he's not going to be allowed in our circles to infiltrate us.
Okay.
So we see him coming from a mile away.
You bringing me to one of my next thoughts. I swear to God, because I want to make some Malcolm X comparisons to you.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I admire about Malcolm X, not only him, but Farrakhan, Muhammad Ali, and a few others that I can't quite name, but I've seen black and white clips of them being interviewed or questioned on platforms where it's obvious the person interviewing was not melanated and was of the controversial side, and they never utilized emotion to express themselves, but they always delivered a very direct message that usually would come with emotion, and they did it with a smile. They did it politely.
Yeah.
And I'll listen to you on a lot of your content. You take calls, and then you get attacked, and you so calmly troll. And the comparison to Malcolm X is what I get, bro. Used to be the Mac type shit. I want you to explain that to me at one point. And then from there, you've become a person that seemingly loves black more than almost anything, and you're willing to stand on the front line for those issues. But another thing, you ain't with that turn another cheek shit.
Real shit.
Seen some village. Somebody felt all this inside of your shit. So from there, the comparison to Malcolm X, you might elaborate.
Yeah, but and you made a good point about being calm when you deal with white supremacists, because in white supremacist world, man, whoever gets emotional first, you're gonna lose. Yeah, you always got to be calm with them. That's where we created something called the dozens. And that came out of slavery, us cracking on each other. And y'all, you do that with people. Y'all troll each other.
Shout out to Geechee Gotti, Smack, URL, and to Nick Cannon with I Get You. Yeah.
Wilding out is like the dozen. That's all it is. And that's a part of foundational Black American culture of ritualistic insults. And the reason why we did that was to get each other psychologically ready to go out in the world and deal with insults from the white supremacists. We had to learn how to absorb insults. People talking about your mama's so fat, your brother's so dumb. So we had to sit there and learn how to first be calm and then quickly think of a verbal comeback without getting emotional. Because if you went out in white society and got emotional when they yelled nigga, 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 they'd hang you getting lynched up. So psychologically, that was a game we would play to strengthen our minds. So when I'm dealing with the white supremacists and I'm debating them, I have the same mindset. Stay calm. Even when they're saying real weird stuff, just come back with some good verbal retorts on them and then get them flustered. See, because when you're cool as a black person, when you're calm, they lose their minds because they're so used to triggering you and making us emotional. When we're calm and we don't get emotional, they flip the hell out, and I love it.
You've mastered it, and I'm in the process of attempting to do what I see some of the greats do in our modern era. I'm telling you, in that sense, you remind me of those guys, bro. You're real sharp with it because they be hitting you with some shit. I be thinking like, ooh. And you come like, no, ma'am. No, sir.
Yeah, because see, what they want us to do is be the angry Negro. They want to trigger us and say, well, you blacks, y'all be smoke crack in your own welfare. They want us to get all emotional. Fuck that, I ain't on no welfare. No. You got to put it back on them because we got to understand these people, the white supremacists, they come from failed societies. Let's be real. Over in Europe, and I want black folks to understand. We got this thing. We got this thing. We think over in Europe they just got everything popping and they're just geniuses. Europe, most of it is a damn ghetto. All right, if you go over there, it ain't as popping as people think it is. No disrespect to the Europeans.
Yeah, shout out to the Europeans.
No disrespect to y'all, but it's not as popping as people think it is over there in certain parts.
And from what I've seen when I've gone to Europe, I appreciate the experience so much because of it's so far away from home.
Yeah.
And what everybody says. But I cannot remember the real stimulating, exciting moments.
Right.
There's very few colors.
Right,
it's like everything is gray.
Everything is gray, cramped up. They only got shit popping over there within the last few hundred years. So I don't let any person from over there who has a lineage from over there wag their finger at us, especially if they had to immigrate here. So
I appreciate that, but I just got a double entendre that came to my head.
Yeah,
they taught you that you're up. If you over in Europe, I'm gonna have to put that in the mix somewhere.
I know, and we believe them. We think that
And where does that come from? When we
propaganda, it's propaganda. They sit here and tell us that we would never get anything popping without them, which is the opposite. We were subjugated. We were subjugated by them. I think we would have a more advanced society if we were not subjugated. Our museum is right down the street from here.
Can I be wise enough to just ask you to define the word subjugated for my sake?
Right. Subjugated means systematically you are limited with your movement and your mobility, meaning physically and economically.
Redlining.
Redlining.
Okay.
Redlining.
Okay.
Our museum is right down the street in Jefferson Park.
Shout out to the Hidden History Museum, man. Salute to you, bro. So proud of you.
I appreciate that, brother. The West Adams area, that was a prominent, wealthy black area. You had a lot of black celebrities over there. Marvin Gaye had a house over there. A lot of black, wealthy people lived over there. They wanted to get the black folks to move out of there. They had a big Supreme Court thing where they were trying to use the racial covenant thing, but the Supreme Court argument was that, okay, hey, they have equal rights, equal protection under the law. So they couldn't move them out. So what they did, they put the 10 freeway right through
eminent domain.
Right. They put that that's why they put the 10 freeway right there in the Jefferson Park area, because they knew that it would usurp the black economic base.
So don't tell me the NFL Inglewood and them Uniting Century all the way down is somewhat connected to the 105 25 years earlier, and they did the same thing and made all those people move off Imperial. That's a cold concept to even try to gab, because we think everything is such a immediate, but the cause and effect goes back so far.
We don't understand, but they do this, they think militarily. Look at Imperial. Imperial, you have the 105 freeway, you have the police station right there, you have Killer King Highway Hospital right over there.
Hospice.
The hospice. Killer King was right over there, and people, you know how everybody in LA know Killer King. You know what it is over there. They had South Central LA boxed in by freeways. Central Avenue was a very prosperous black area. They put the 110 freeway near there. That kind of destroyed it. Purposely to destroy the businesses. And now they've contained South Central LA. When they had the riots in '92, they shut the freeways down and brought in those tanks. They had easy access to South Central LA because of the way the freeways were designed to box it in. They do the same thing out there with Palmdale, Lancaster. There's only a couple of roads to get in and get out. That's why they didn't put all the black folks out there. They do things in a militaristic way.
You be trapped off so quick, we don't even realize.
We don't even realize it, man.
Somebody, I saw illustrated that's a copy of a blueprint from like communist countries, just the same similar setup, and it was designed purposely for that reason.
Right, and also I want the audience to look up Rex 84 camps, where they have these concentration camps out in Palmdale. They got them in Palmdale.
FEMA, are they associated with FEMA at all?
Kind of, sort of, but they call them Rex 84 camps. Google that. That was something.
Rex 84.
Right,
camp.
where they designed these little camps in these concentration camp centers that's in plain sight in some of these places. So if things go bad, they can start rounding people up and putting them in these concentration camps. They got them all over the country, especially out here.
As articulate and knowledgeable as you are, do you have the fear of being considered a conspiracy theorist? Or I'm sure you've been classified as such.
Oh, yeah. They've always, when we start as Black people questioning and calling out certain things that they do to us systematically, you know, they always try to dismiss it. Well, you're a conspiracy theorist. Oh, you're paranoid. What about Black on Black crime? It becomes right.
Just how they killed the Black Lives Matter's whole concept based on some perhaps scrupulous business dealings of a few.
Right.
And they just killed the whole meaning behind the whole term. Mm-hmm. And whoever incorporated whatever they incorporated and then didn't have any integrity behind their dealings has nothing to do with what was being expressed.
Right.
So
they tried to make the actions of those few people somehow conducive of what everybody was co-signing.
And all of us that was just echoing the sentiment had no idea of those bad misdealings. We just understood what it meant.
And also the George Floyd riots and some of these other protests that were going down, that had nothing to do with the organization Black Lives Matter. See, that's a white supremacist tactic of putting a leadership group that's controlled opposition in the face of the protest. It was
a real tactics.
Yeah.
And that's what causes you to sound like a conspiracy theorist, because we live in such a lackadaisical society where the Super Bowl is the biggest word we know.
Yeah.
And so when you think about anything that you're discussing casually, it sounds like, man, if you don't get the fuck out of here, ain't nobody thinking about all that, trying to do all that.
Yeah, we underestimate folks, man. That's what gets us. We think, man, ain't nobody trying to harm us. You ain't got a bunch of white people sitting in the room planning and plotting on us. Yes, you do.
Can you imagine the skill set, the gifts that she's been bestowed? Someone such as Candace Owens, uttering a message similar to yours versus what she does in that context. Now, also, it's something that seemingly, I don't know your relation with this dude, if there's any controversy. But me, from the outside looking in, to me, I think that you and Dr. Umar, to some degree, fit in a similar box. I know, I'm aware there may be differences because what I can think that his concept about us is anybody that has our skin tone and our kind of like our bone structure, our muscular build around the world is one, and you kind of feel like, or you profess or have established that there's a difference, just like white people aren't all one.
Right.
We aren't all one. Is that the main difference?
Right. Well, the thing with Umar, and me and him, I put Umar in my movies.
Okay.
He was in my early movies.
I admire the both of you in a similar. There was another, won't bring his name up, he just stumbled on such a big old bullshit scandal. The real dark-skinned New York guy, but you and Umar seem to be upper echelon of people who have a wealth of knowledge, historical understanding, and somewhat of an idea of what we should do to move forward. Killer Mike, too.
Oh, yeah, that's my guy. But Umar, man, I think Umar is a brilliant brother. Yeah, even though we got our little personal differences. And at this point, I'm not even tripping on that. I wish Umar the best. And at this point, I'm having fun. Sometimes I take little jabs back at him now.
The dozens.
But this is just the dozens. If I saw Umar in really some big trouble, I'd be the first one to bail him out.
That's right.
But I'm going to hit him with some of these jokes because, I'm petty.
We see in the history Malcolm Martin, and it never got to bullshit, but there was some.
There was some camaraderie there.
Yeah, camaraderie, but some conflict.
Right, yeah. But he's a brilliant brother.
Okay.
But his thing, and I think he's kind of easing off of it a little bit, but his thing is, he's the Prince of Pan-Africanism.
Yes.
Let's all global.
That's how I learned that term.
Right. And that's a great concept. That's cool. I'm all for Black people all getting together globally and being one people.
Especially tactically.
Right.
Tactically, if it matters, yeah.
But we have to do it in a practical way and not just an idealistic way. Because unfortunately, there's a lot of people who are non-FBA, who don't come from our lineage, who don't think like us. You see, we as foundational Black Americans, we've dealt directly with these white supremacists, and they've let us know that we're the enemy to them. And they're not going to let us in certain circles. They let us know that you are in the underclass. under no uncertain terms. Now, foreign black folks, they're controlled by the white supremacists indirectly. So the white supremacists will get a black puppet leader and put that black puppet leader as the president of Nigeria, Uganda, whoever, and that black person does the dirty work. So all you see over there is a black face. But when a white person shows up, they're acting like Jesus. A white person goes over there to Africa, they bring in cookies and milk and all types of shit, and they're like, "Oh, I love white people." When they can't do that with us.
Right.
When they come over here with gifts, we're like, what the fuck this motherfucker trying to do? We already see the trick bag.
We're gonna accept the gift, and before you leave, we finna rob you for the extras in the back of the trunk.
Yeah. So when they come over, we're looking like, okay, these are reinforcements for us. And in their mind, they're like, fuck these niggas. I'm trying to find some white people. So that's why we have to take a pause and say, okay, we need to, when we get non-FBA people around, let's see who's really on the team. Let's see who's going to be an ally for real. Let's start gatekeeping and checking everybody's paperwork now, because we can't have this big old circus that we've had where we just accept everybody and everybody excludes us. That's the problem.
They get a chance.
Because we let everybody in. Hey, come on, you got a business, come on down to LA. We'll support your business. You got a taco stand, come, we'll support your taco stand. We support everybody. But when it's time for them to support us, then all of a sudden, hey, get away from me, nigga. It's that type of shit.
On God.
Yeah.
But tell me this, why, with that, you just brought some trigger to thought. Why do we see on every corner in our communities a taco stand, somebody selling fruit across the street, then they selling corn, even though there are actual brick and mortar establishments selling food, on every corner across the street, the Latins are doing commerce on the lowest levels. Why we don't even have a similar, somewhat presence?
Great question. And the reason why is because we are the only people who get sabotaged for doing so. They don't sabotage the Latinos. They let them set up a taco stand. They don't mess with them. Man, I used to go to Crenshaw Boulevard. Brothers be out there barbecuing on the weekend. I go down there and get me barbecue sandwiches all day. Them brothers ain't out there no more. They done went and gaffled them up. Hey, where's your permit? Where's your permit? They play the permit game on us, man.
You ain't never
They
lied.
do that shit to us all the time, and they sabotage us, and they don't do it to others. And then they criminalize us. They don't do it to Asians. They don't do it to Asian people at all. And Asians, they have these businesses out here where they trapping in the back. They got a massage parlor where they're giving hand jobs.
Everybody know about it.
Everybody knows this shit.
What, the owner of the fucking Patriots knows about it. Rob Crab, everybody know about it. Yeah, I get it. And because we talking about the people with the massage parlors and all that, I have 20-year-old, 23-year-old daughter. I also have a 11-year-old, she'll be 12 on the 14th, like you, Roddy.
Yeah.
And I have a granddaughter, 3 years old. And then I have a mother, some aunties. And I heard you speaking recently on something that really refreshed me, because your perspective is almost identical to mine. And I'm just going to say one name and I'm going to let you go. Sexy Red.
Man.
What we going to do, bro?
And the sex, I'm...
Shout out to her.
Yeah, shout out to Sexy
One
Red.
thing you said redemptive was, she's a part of something so much bigger.
Yeah.
And nothing else she presents is really going to be accepted. She really had no choice based on, this is what they are designing as what, if you're not doing this, it's not going to work.
Right.
So it's less her fault and just more, she's not the source, she's more of the pimple and not what's causing the pimple.
She's the branch on the root of what's
we
going
go.
on. Because if you look at some of my social media, the rapper Sexy Red, the way the white media parades her around, I think it's problematic, because they are specifically trying to use a negative image of black women in order to justify harming black women by parading a Sexy Red around. She's, and she's barefoot, pregnant, and twerking. When you put that in the eyes of millions of people, that says something about your culture. That's making a statement. And why are they doing that? That's not sexy. It's not appealing to anybody. The reason to do it is to promote degeneracy. And I like a ratchet every now and then. But ratchets are something you deal with behind the scenes.
Hood rats or ratchets.
Yeah, ain't nothing wrong with a little
talk.
ratchet. But to parade that around as something that kids should...
Burlesque has never been a mainstream concept.
Right.
It has its place.
It has its place. They promote her to children, just like they were promoting Lil Nas X to children.
I agree.
That's the problem that I have with that type of shit.
I agree so much. That's the same thought process I would have. It's not like the dark desires of adulthood are not acceptable, but they're not mainstream in the platforms that we share with our children and our youth that we are. They're not for community. Otherwise, it's kind of like the general concept when you look on social media and you see women who are married, comfortable to be in a spaghetti strap top with no bra and some little bitty boy shorts with no panties and looking sexy as fuck in the camera, wiggling, dancing, but they married.
Right.
It's indicative of a society we have. We see few participants from the other races following our trends, but like you say, it seems like it's something that's going on with us. Do you think that we have a positive future in regards? Do you think it's something that's going to have to work itself out of our system, or do you think it's going to lead to our doom and our destruction?
It's up to us, man, on the grassroots to control our media narrative. That's why I do movies. That's why we have a museum. That's why I write books. We have to have a grassroots media apparatus where we're not dependent on the dominant society to show images of ourselves. When I started doing the Hidden Colors movies a decade ago, I started because
That's all it's been?
it's been it's only a little over a decade.
Okay.
Yeah, we started.
Still.
Yeah, it came out 2011.
And you on volume 5.
Yeah, we did 5 and a whole bunch of other movies since then. But the reason why I did it around 2010, remember the movies that were out at the time was The Help, The Blind Side, all of these movies that showed us looking crazy, Precious,
Color Purple.
Right. These movies showing us looking insane. So I said, hey, we have to get our own resources together and tell our own stories. Because when we go to Hollywood and say, hey, we want you to represent us, they'll say, yeah, we'll represent you. Let's get Gabby Sidibe to go steal a bucket of chicken and run down the street. Yeah.
Sound familiar, sir?
Yeah.
The new Gangland. This dude, the producer of this project, is very silent back here, but he's on the front line of that issue because he's been called upon throughout the years to participate in a lot of major productions that are, they're centered around the LA gang culture. And he's participated through the years. And just recently, major platforms has reached out, asked for him to collaborate again. And they're all Caucasians that are doing these productions, and they want his expertise. And they reach out to him, and he just found himself standing on principle saying, well, how many blacks do you have on production staff? And they're saying, well, actually none.
Oh, shit.
And he's disgusted with us having a lack of representation on presenting our own story. So now he's been boycotting these opportunities that are paying opportunities, letting the producers know until one of us or on the production team I ain't fucking with it. So it remind me of what you're saying. I feel that.
Right. We do need more of that. We do need more of that stuff. I know on Snowfall they had Dub C.
Dub C told me he was consulting on that.
They had him as a consultant on that. One of my favorite shows, The Godfather of Harlem, about Bumpy Johnson. It's on Epic, the Epic Network. They had our brother from Hidden Colors, James Small, because he was around Malcolm X's family and all those people in Harlem. They have him as a consultant, and behind the scenes, he let them know, hey, don't put that in there. Hey, don't go there with it. So it's good to have one of us behind the scenes letting folks know, don't be with the bullshit.
Always.
Yeah.
I know I mentioned this earlier. You skipped past it. I don't know if it was intentional or accidentally, but there was a guy who seemingly felt comfortable coming to a place of your business and being aggressive, threatening, and disrespectful. And like any other man, you defended yourself physically when he got too close to home base. Do you mind speaking on that?
Yeah, well, there's an open case right now as far as that. So
none of that. I apologize to
No, it's all good. But it was a self-defense situation.
As it always
where there was some straightening going on.
Yes, it's bad. My mama. I recently had a controversial situation with a rapper of the Latino descent. They tell me he's not a Mexican or actual raza, but he's affiliated. His name is Mr. Criminal. And I've worked with him through years, but I was at the hater world. Shout out Blue Devil in the haters world. He's a Sereno podcaster that I've become cordial with online. And I was at his podcast. He asked me some questions about black artists collaborating with Hispanic artists, why I didn't think it happened more so throughout the years. And off the top of my head, I told him something about, I believe, has something to do with their mastery of the English language or things of that nature. And there was a certain guy that got offensive and he got real disrespectful toward me. And me sitting back thinking about, I went to American Cholo because of the N-word controversy that he went through.
Yeah. And
even though a lot of us were offended, upset at a certain point, after it all played out, it seemed like it was a obvious, taken out of context situation for the most part. But when I went to go talk to American Cholo, he threw a little lug in trying to get me to laugh at something. Not really, I don't know if he really realized that we was homies, or he just realized we was black public figures. But as soon as he mentioned your name, he tried to say, insinuate something to where it might be something to where I said, no, that's the homie, woo woo.
Yeah, yeah.
You care to expound on your interaction with American Cholo as to on the forefront of why y'all names were so closely associated in the last year or so.
Yeah. Well, Cholo, he was.
Shout out to you though, American Cholo.
Well, Cholo was saying a lot of racist shit about black folks
in general.
I just in general. That. Yeah. A lot of folks.
Such as.
Oh man, he was. There was a couple of incidents where some dudes from a couple of sets were jumping on some of the little vendors.
I remember those times.
So Cholo, I remember him hopping on the internet, the black community, and where the black leaders just blaming the black community. Where y'all black folks need to speak up. And and people was looking at him like, hey, dude, where y'all speaking up when y'all attacking us, dude?
We don't do that.
Right.
You know what I realized? Their culture, especially on the gang level, as a youngster coming up in these streets, warrant, beefing, just understand what's going on, they gain the majority of my respect because of this. I realize when it's on with them, especially in Compton, on the east side, the southeast side, when the racial gang shit was going on, wasn't nobody safe. Babies, children, women.
Real shit.
Catching big bullets. And I remember as much it used to hurt and crush our community as a young-minded warrior thinking like, these motherfuckers don't give a fuck. So here projected in the future for them to try to play, that's lightweight to what we, when it's on, they don't give a fuck, bro.
Real talk. They get civilians and everybody.
All that.
And the dudes out there that were messing with those vendors, they got DP'd by their own hood, so that was nipped in the bud. But yeah, that wasn't but Cholo used that as an opportunity to just attack the whole black community. And also he attacked reparations. Him and his people were talking about we shouldn't get reparations. So it was a whole bunch of shit. So it wasn't just about me and him. He tried to take his little personal.
Not personal.
It ain't personal at all. It's not personal. And we were gonna chop it up, but there was
still do it.
Yeah,
I'll volunteer to sit between the two of y'all, and we can all.
But they didn't put a they got a no-fly zone on Cholo though.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, them?
Well, no, some cats out.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave that alone.
Yeah. They got to
push peace and
productivity
over here.
Because I was going. My dude Jinx, who's cool with Cholo down in Long Beach.
Sir Jinx?
No, not is another brother named Jinx.
Jinx with Jinx. That's the only two I know in the media. Sir Jinx and Drinks with Jinx. But if they
yeah. Shout out to
I had a drink with Jinx.
Yeah. You been down in Long Beach?
Yeah, on my mama. Yeah,
that's
on Long Beach. Yeah.
So Jinx was gonna put it together, but then I started getting phone calls and whoop, and it was like, there's a no-fly zone on that right now. So I'm like, I had to respect what was going on.
I respect that.
Yeah.
There's another thing. Speaking on somebody from that descent, this whole controversy about the origin of hip hop.
Yeah.
And as long as we've known, it's our shit. It's been our shit.
All day.
Nobody argue, nobody complain, they join in, they salute us and applaud us. But recently, there's been a sentiment that's becoming popular. I think Busta Rhymes even kind of like agreed to it, that there's been others that could be credited as the originators of hip hop outside of us. Right. You have been one of the people most vocal and having a opposing, standpoint on that. Please elaborate.
Yeah, man, look. Hip hop right now, this is the 50th anniversary.
Salute.
Right. Salute to the game, man. And it's going to the Olympics next year. So there's about to be a big corporate push for hip hop. They have to make it a positive because it's a positive now.
It is.
When hip hop was negative, nobody was claiming it, dude. When it was negative, It's them blacks. Them blacks are vandalizing with graffiti. Them blacks are spinning on the ground. Them blacks are messing up those records, scratching. Them blacks are rapping gibberish. Everything was negative. Now that we fought through it, we made it a global powerhouse. Now motherfuckers want to come out here and start claiming stuff. Wow. And we're saying, nah, no. When it was black, y'all in the negative, it was all on us. We struggled as foundational black Americans, and some immigrant blacks too.
Of course.
We fought and damn near went to jail and damn near died for hip hop, man. Going back to Sugar Hill Records, Sylvia and Joe Robinson, man, they were under like federal investigation with that record company. Eazy-E.
Just based on being black and successful.
Right, just black and successful, man. Jay Prince, they were under federal investigation. Eazy-E, the feds were watching them. Greg Mack and K-Day, the first hip-hop radio station out here. 1580. Greg Mack told me the feds used to go up there asking about Easy and Ice-T and snooping around asking about the artists. Death Row, who you were doing some stuff with, man. You know what.
Shout out to Suge, free Suge.
Yeah, shout out to Suge, the stuff. And Suge, we got to give Suge credit because Suge changed the game.
Yeah, he did.
He stopped a lot of them white execs from fucking over people.
Yes.
We got to give him his props on that.
Salute.
Right. But we saw how black people, Luther Campbell, they were trying to put brothers in jail.
Shout out to Uncle Lou.
Yeah. They were trying to put Public Enemy in jail.
Do you remember when they used to do the pile of CDs and have the
demolition?
Yeah.
Right. They were trying to put, they did put Tupac in jail. Yeah. They did. See Dolores Tucker, you had her, she was with the white supremacists pushing her out there, trying to lock folks up because of their lyrics. So that was all black when we were dealing with that negativity. When we fought through it and made it possible so that everybody can make records, everybody can have freedom of speech. Now everybody wants to jump on the bandwagon and say they claim that they created the shit with us. No, that's disrespectful. You didn't create anything. You came later. You were the first students. Accept that student status.
Buster, you too black not to tap into that message, bro. We love everybody. Fat Joe, I know y'all got a multicultural thing, but you still have to be man enough. Otherwise, somebody can walk in your house and say, this is our wife.
Right.
Remember, she loves us. We both was there. I mean, it's that deep to me. These are our children.
Right. And Buster was like, well, yeah, hip-hop came from Jamaica. Y'all got it from us, which is completely not true.
Break bread.
Yeah, they used that lie because of Kool Herc. Kool Herc, who was one of the godfathers of hip-hop, he had some parties in the Bronx, and there were other b-boy breakbeat parties going on, but he had more popular breakbeat parties. He just coincidentally happened to be Jamaican. Nobody even knew he was Jamaican. He didn't bring anything culturally Jamaican over here. And they tried to use his Jamaican status to say, well, he brought over the sound system. He brought over toasting, which became rapping. None of that shit is true. That's just not true. So that's why we have a movie called Microphone Check, where we got a lot of the early pioneers.
That was the next thing on my list. Microphone Check, break bread. So what is Microphone Check based upon? How far we are along in the development, and have we gotten too far for me to be included?
No.
Okay.
See, now Spider was going to be weird. First of all, we were going to do a West Coast hip-hop documentary. Spider knows it. Spider, he was going to be in it because I was...
About 2-3 years in development.
Right, because I was calling you like, hey, man, we're going to be filming in about a month. But then this whole Fat Joe shit and all of that Buster shit start popping off. That started popping off, and I said, we got to take care of the New York stuff first. Because, that story is getting convoluted. So let's get that story together first.
Motivated by voices like Buster having an alternative perspective, you say, like, we got to get that cleared up.
Well, what I wanted to do...
That's considered the Mecca.
It is, but I wanted to get the real pioneers who were there in the 70s.
Correct.
Right in the beginning of it. And I got most of them. I got Melly Mel, Coke La Rock, Shy Rock, the first female MC, the first hip-hop MC, the first guy who rhymed over records, DJ Hollywood.
Are they all FBA?
Almost all of them are FBA. Red Alert is in the movie, but he's from Antigua. He's Caribbean, but all the other ones are FBA.
So you were not biased.
No. Right. I get Red Alert.
Even if I was surprised to find out, you're included too. Come on.
Yeah. Red Alert is
that integrity Caribbean. In the project. Go ahead.
And I welcome Puerto Rican cats. I'm like, give me some Puerto Rican pioneers. I want Crazy Legs and all of these people.
See, when you say Crazy Legs, this is my concept on the overall subject. It seems like the debate has turned about who has originated rap.
Right.
And made it popular and made it what it is. And then it seems like there's a difference between the concept of rap and hip hop. because hip hop consists of elements
Right.
outside of rapping.
Right.
And when you say a name like Crazy Legs, I don't think of a rapper.
Right.
I think somebody who might have been breakdancing.
He's a breakdancer, yeah.
Yeah. Then you have other people. When I think about my earliest education, as far as a visual on that culture, was breaking and Beat Street. I remember Ramon, Spit. So I know they had a presence somewhere, but it wasn't. None of them was on the mic.
Right.
They was doing graffiti. They was dancing. But from as far as I can remember, it was always one of us standing on the mic trying to keep a rhythm on a beat and rhyme and be entertaining. Even from the black and white clips you see of people you never heard of doing the little razzmatazz shit. It's always been us.
Right. And see, all of the elements of hip hop came from foundational Black American culture. All of them. Every single one. Graffiti came out of Philly, and I had the first graffiti artist in the movie, a dude named Cornbread. He's the first person to do graffiti as a work of art in urban areas. That was the first guy. It ended up going to New York. We had Cool DJ D. That was a brother who brought the sound systems over into the Bronx, coming from Brooklyn, because people in Brooklyn going into the late 60s, they were mobile DJs and they had sound systems. We were rapping on records. You go to the 1920s, you got black folks rhyming on records. What rap is, basically, you're atonally rhyming over a beat, meaning you're not committing to a note. You know what I'm saying? So you're rhyming, but you're not doing it to a note.
You can drag your vocal inflections as long as you're not trying to harmonize with a note.
Right. And that's basically what rapping is. You're rhyming over a beat without committing to a note. So we've been doing that. Going all the way to the 1920s. In the 1960s, there was a brother named Pigmeat Markham. Had a record.
Pigmeat Markham.
Had a couple of records where he's rapping over the record.
Would you consider him one of the first MCs?
I consider him one of the first influences of hip hop, because what makes hip hop is all the elements coming together. You see, because all the elements were there, but when they came together, that made it hip hop. So James Brown, he was a forefather of hip hop because he created funk. In order to have hip hop, you need the funk beats, where the beat is starting on the one. James Brown created funk.
That's how Caucasian and awkward and clumsy I am. So you start talking about the beat starting on the 1, 2, 3, and 4. As an MC, I've been in countless studios where engineers that don't know each other be like, damn, you start on the wrong beat. But somehow you make that shit work. I don't...
Ask Tariq about what does he think about the influence that disco, black disco, and white disco had on hip hop in the 70s.
Can I ask you about your perspective on the influence of disco in general, but not just disco in general, but specifically black disco, white disco, and any other versions of disco had in the 70s on our music?
Well, you got to understand, disco and hip hop were rising at the same time. It was on the rise at the same time. White disco was basically an imitation of the black disco. And many of the white disco songs, they had black singers singing them. You had a group called Foxy. They did a song called Get Off. There's a bunch of black girls singing background. The group Toto. A lot of those disco records that were by the white artists, they had black background singers really doing the vocals. But even the first technical rap record was an amalgamation of a disco record, which Rapper's Delight was Good Times. Good Times was a popular disco record at the time. Wow. And you had the Funky 4 plus one more, when they did their record, Rappin' and Rockin' the House, that was Cheryl Lynn's Gotta Be Real, which was a hot disco R&B record at the time. So we've always rhymed over disco records. Eventually, the beats got a little slower and a little more funkier, and we kept the rhyme patterns and just kind of flipped it different ways. So it's all from us. It all comes from us.
From being a child, that's the time frame I can recall when our culture and white culture, as far as music, was the same as the most. Disco. That's the element where it seemed like we shared the same energy. Not quite. Everything else I see of us in comparison to them when it comes to partying and enjoying ourselves, we have way more of a rhythm than they have committed to. Tell me this, with you being such a person on the forefront when racial issues, stereotypes are supposed to be negative because of our plight. But if you look at a party of 100 people that are Caucasian, and they could all be between the ages of 18 and 30. You look at a party, the same amount of people that are our people between 18 and 30. and look at them through a split screen where they're all dancing to the same music for 15. Where do we get this ability to move that they just obviously don't possess?
There's a lot of theories on that. You have some people like Lila Africa, rest in peace. A lot of them contribute that to the black pineal gland. We have an active pineal gland, which is something that's connected to our melanin. And because we are melanated people, we have more of an in tune rhythm to the earth and to sounds, because you have inner ear melanin. Your melanin can kind of tap into certain things. My daughter, I have a 16-month-old daughter, and she was, yeah, thank you. Today, she was dancing to Coco Melon. Nobody never taught her how to dance, but it's been scientifically proven that black children learn how to dance at a very young age, in opposed to other children. It's that melanin thing, man. I think that melanin really kicks in, and it's like something that, it's like a magnet that aligns us to nature and rhythms more so than other people. Beethoven, we talked about this in one of the Hidden Colors films. Beethoven had black in him.
That's where I learned that.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to teach you that.
Yeah.
That's where I learned it. Go ahead.
Yeah, Beethoven, they used to call him the Black Spaniard. That was his nickname. So, you know, he was described by his contemporaries as a mulatto. So he had that Moorish melanin in him, and he was going deaf at one point, but he could still play because he had inner ear melanin. You understand? So we tap into certain energies that a lot of folks can't really tap into. That's why we can pick up a dance and learn it very quickly, whereas other people got to go to a dance school.
And then it's like even the best now with TikTok, they can mimic broken down steps. But anything freestyle natural that has to go according to the beat is still their loss. Yeah. You can memorize. I can memorize and copy those steps, count them out. But after that, I don't know what to do. But what I think about in general, everything with color is been, the color represents something being present. Things absent of color are just that. They're less of absent. Things have been abstracted. There could be more and you would see more, but now that there's no color, there are things missing. There's a lacking element. How do we go from the idea that more color is bad and less color is better when there's no place you can think of less color being good? Where's less color good?
That's how propaganda works, see? That's how white supremacy propaganda works. They flipped it to make it seem like black is negative. That's why we go back to the early conversation we had about us thinking that black is negative because the white supremacists said so. Look, they've always looked at, and I'm talking about Europeans, they looked at their own skin as something that's negative. That's why they had to tan. This is them talking. I'm just,
Amen. No hate.
They would have melanin conferences where they would go have these big money meetings where they would discuss melanin, study what makes the properties of melanin work. They study us meticulously. When they try to get organs for their bodies, they prefer black organs because of the strength that the melanin provides in them. I've had white doctors tell me this. They prefer black organs. I was
understanding they believe that so much about us is why they thought that we can endure so much torture. Because
when we were enslaved, they knew what they were gonna get. They knew that they were gonna get powerful people who can build stuff and endure things. They knew. They didn't pay all of those thousands of dollars for black people for nothing. They didn't create a whole industry with insurance. The whole medical industry was based on slavery. The insurance industry was based on what came out of slavery. We were the first people that were insured. We were the first people that they had. Yeah.
Makes so much sense as soon as you say it, but go ahead.
Yeah. The insurance companies came out of insuring us. Wall Street came out of us being sold on Wall Street
because
in New
we
York.
were the first corporation in this capitalist society.
We were the capital.
Commodity.
Yeah.
Wow.
We were the capital.
Wow.
Right. We were the capital. We were the first capital. So they try to dismiss slavery and our presence as some kind of marginalized thing within the no, it was the main event. Us being enslaved and them having us do all the work and selling us and all, we were the main event. Everything was born, all of the corporations came out of the slavery.
Our blood, our sweat, our tears.
Right.
So the word we started off with in the beginning of this conversation, reparations.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous as they make it assume or seem. and as much as a reality, just for me on the outside looking in, it's starting to appear and highly due to people like you and things that you express. Is it something that you really realistically see being something that we'll see in our lifetime, or is it projected maybe with the course of momentum you see for the future?
I see it in our lifetime. All we have to do is just be on code and just stay on our square. We got to understand these people in the dominant society, they've never given us anything voluntarily.
Never, yo.
Never. We got to understand that. They're not going to do this thing voluntarily. We have to have a political movement, a cultural movement, a social movement, an educational movement to stand on our square. They didn't want to release us out of slavery. We got to understand black folks were fighting and rebelling against the system when they released us.
They hold us back.
Yeah.
Trying to go.
In the 1960s, remember, white people didn't wake up and say, hey, let's stop, let's take the colored signs off the water fountains. Let's stop the Jim Crowism. Let's stop this. They never said that. We had to go out in the streets and say, hey, you're going to stop doing this shit. Yeah? So it's always up to us to stand on our square and say, hey, enough is enough. We're not going to have that shit going on here. And when we get something popping, we have to watch the back door because they oftentimes will sneak something else in detrimental.
But please explain to me, when we think about COINTELPRO, always back from the Panthers, I've watched The Birth of a Nation, and it seemed like Nat Turner was going to do it into this little young boy, whether that's Hollywood or not, but it's not this young boy went back and told, how do we ever get to a point where we don't have our own language? How can we ever be effective within a society where we're relying on our oppressor for so much of our resources, so much of our intel? So many of us are convinced that we need to do our best white man impression to be successful here. How do we ever counter that in a proportion that'll be effective?
You counter that by codification. That's called being on code with each other. And being on code with other black people means whatever I do, however I interact with that person, is going to be something that's going to be empowering to not just that person, but to us as a community. Instead, we are taught to be rugged individuals. Just go for yours. So I'm going to harm this black person because this white person is going to throw me a couple of dollars. We got to get out of that mentality. When I got started writing books and doing stuff on television, look, they were throwing money at me to just do relationship books. I could have just said, fuck the black community and just sat up here with white folks.
Steve Harvey.
Yeah, I could have been doing that. I mean, I was on The Tonight Show and Jay Leno and on Conan's show and all of that stuff. They were trying to give me a talk show. But I saw that we as a community, we needed some empowerment. And I used to be in the streets. I know how to get some damn paper. I'm not dependent upon them. Yeah, I'm not dependent on them. I don't give a shit. I'll eat without them. There's some black folks who don't know how to go out here and get it.
What motivated your transition from the guy you just described to a guy who seems to, if you didn't want anybody to know, you appear to be somebody who never knew about the streets, who was educated in the greatest of establishments? What triggered that transition in your life, and what do you consider yourself now versus the guy who you just described, the guy from the streets versus now?
Well, anybody, if you're in the streets, man, and let me say this, out here in LA, man, a lot of the street dudes back in the day, I'm talking about back in the day, were very intelligent people. You understand?
Yeah, back in the day.
Back in the day. You dig? You remember back in the day? Cats, man.
Remember the letters that from prison used to be the most
illegal. It looked like some shit from a law firm, dude. Dudes were geniuses.
Yeah.
Like, damn, niggas.
Even the greeting used to be like this, y'all. Dear so-and-so, I hope this letter finds you in the most humblest respects of God's grace and blessing. Well, that's just the introduction to the letter. Yeah, but go ahead.
Man, go listen to interviews of Tookie Williams talking. Tookie sounds like a Rhodes Scholar, man. This dude was incredibly intelligent, very articulate. So back in those days, man, you couldn't be a dumb nigga in the streets anyway. Because, you know, that would look like, okay, this dumb nigga get pinched, he gonna tell on every fucking body. So you trusted dudes who had some wit, some smarts. The dude who had some intelligence, those are the dudes that you kind of trusted. That's why I respect my brother Ice-T. Very smart dude.
Shout out Ice-T.
Very good dude. Very smart dude. Sharp
on around here. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I wanted to show dudes, man, look, the shit you did in the streets, man, those rules can apply to the rest of the corporate world, the rest of the dominant society. It's all about having integrity with whatever you do. Doing things where people can trust you, because that goes a long way. I get a lot of projects done, and I get a lot of grassroots projects funded from the grassroots because people trust me. They know that I'm going to follow through. On the streets, you couldn't be an untrustworthy dude or have the reputation of being an untrustworthy dude. Niggas will pop your fucking head off being like,
they got to trust you to deliver on the consequences associated with violating you.
You can't even be associated with an untrustworthy dude. I remember years ago, man, on some street shit, a partner of mine.
On the east side?
Okay,
go ahead. My bad, go ahead.
But it was a partner of mine came from out of town, and he was just kind of hanging out, and he was they were at the club high-siding and telling people all types of shit just because they knew they were going to go back home. Right. And they told some dudes I know that they had a plug on this and a plug on that. And the dudes my friends, they left town, but the dudes out here kept calling me, hey man, where's your guy? He said he had a plug on whoop-de-whoop. I don't know what y'all talked about, man. Then they hit me up. Yeah, man, I'm trying to get in touch with your guy, man. He said he was going to do whoop-de-whoop. Where? I said, I don't know. Then they hit me with, how well you know them dudes, man. So then it got on me. I knew where he was going. Like, hey, what the fuck you doing with those type of niggas who ain't even trustworthy? So I start looking funny. So that's why it's important, man, to not only you be thorough, you be around other thorough people.
That's very wise because he and I, as far as the producer, Alex Alonso, we often encounter different platforms that entertain certain talent that he and I would never entertain based on integrity. Yeah. And we have friendly relationships with other people. We think, judge talent by the same criteria. Everybody does it, bro. Yeah. We have to realize that real is rare.
Yes, indeed.
And it's a reminder I often run across, bro. On God.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
On my mama. Alice, let me see. What else we got? We already did that. This is what I want to ask about. All right.
Ask them what's the difference between FBA, Foundational Black American, and ADOS, American Descendants of Slaves. Is it the same thing, or is there a difference between that, FBA and ADOS?
FBA, ADOS, two terms I've heard thrown around in conversations associated with yourself. Can I get some clarity on those two terms? Are they same, different, kind of, or?
It's different now. The term ADOS got popular because I tweeted the hashtag around 2018, and I made that term popular. That's why my name has often been associated with the ADOS term. The ADOS term originated from a brother, I can't think of his name, and then some other people kind of latched on and took what he created and made it into an organization, and it confused a lot of people because it was supposed to be about lineage, but then they turned it into an organization.
Similar to the Black Lives Matter shit.
Right, they turned it into some like Black Lives Matter where there's a leader of the shit, and that just threw everybody off. So I said, hey, look, let's just stick to the lineage thing. Claude Anderson, Dr. Claude Anderson, who's an idol of mine and a mentor, he would often use the term Native Black American. And I would use that term. So I said, instead of Native Black American, because sometimes when we say Native Black American, people confuse that with Indians.
Of course.
So I said, let's use the term Foundational Black American to describe the lineage. So a lot of people thought that Foundational Black American and ADOS was the same thing. ADOS is a group. It's an organization with a couple of people claiming to be the leaders. There is no leaders of Foundational Black American. That's just the lineage. I ain't the leader of nobody. I've never claimed to be a leader.
You coined the phrase, though.
I coined the phrase Foundational Black
American.
American.
How you get tagged.
So that's why they say, is it a leadership? No. I am nobody's leader at all. Because you can't, a lineage has no leader. I'm just making a lineage designation.
Abraham does not have a lineage. He's not a leader of a lineage.
Who?
Fuck that, Abraham. Keep going.
But yeah, it's just a Foundational Black American is lineage only. It's not a group. ADOS is a group. So that's the difference.
And is there a trustworthy system to test our lineage to determine whether we're ADOS or opposite, if we're FBA?
Well, yeah, you can to see if you're a Foundational Black American, you have to be able to trace your lineage back to the 1870 census. If you're on this, your great grandparents are on that census, that means that most likely they didn't immigrate from anywhere else. They
I
already
know
in.
I'm one of them. 'Cause my grandmama was born in like 1912. I knew her real good. She only passed a couple years ago at 101.
Oh wow, wow.
Yeah, so yeah, we must be good over here.
Oh yeah. Yeah, my grandmother was born and she died back in the early 2000s, but she was born in 1910.
Oh yeah,
and y'all got to understand. Around that time, Harriet Tubman was still alive. You understand?
I was not intending on bringing up Harriet Tubman, but you know what I find admirable about Harriet Tubman and also Rosa Parks that might be chauvinistic. They known for what they did and not what they said.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's people like Martin, Malcolm, Obama, yourself, even myself. We're known for what we say. A lot of people but a lot of the women that it's about what they did.
Yeah.
Not what y'all said.
Right.
I'm just saying, y'all, get cracking.
No doubt.
1906 over here from my grandfather.
Oh damn.
He had the trumpets.
Got to be by a couple of years.
Oh damn.
But the three of us look like a version of what our people went through.
Yeah.
Somewhat of a different mix, and but do we all agree as far as us that we're not without an accent who can't quite connect ourselves to Africa regardless? We agree we are the same somehow.
Oh yeah, we're family. Now let's be straight. We are family. We all family. You have cool family members. You have some janky family members. Yeah. So the cool family members, you bring them over. We build some stuff. We get things popping. We go to the reunion. The family member who is on the pipe, who might be a smoker, I'll see you.
My family.
You still the family, but I'm not going.
And while we out here having a smoke break or just talking in the front yard, if you walk by here and trip on any of these motherfuckers, you gonna have a problem.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
Because that's one thing I don't do. Because sometimes when I'm arguing or debating with some non-FBA cats from Africa or whatever online, every now and then you get a white boy who pop in the room. Yeah, Tariq, I agree with those Africans. Like, you slow the fuck down.
Hey, don't let nobody else whoop your kid.
Yeah, no, this
don't even let the school whoop kids
real
no more.
Shit.
Nobody. I get it.
Yeah, like, hey, this family shit, nigga. This you ain't gonna sit here and get with me and we're gonna denigrate that brother. We ain't doing that.
What you have developed is you have nobody calling you saying, "Hey, who?" Every motherfucker that call you and want to challenge you, they try to sneak up on you.
Oh yeah, they try to act nice and
they gonna give you 2-3 minutes of some good.
Hey Tariq, I love
you. Peep this shit off top though.
Yeah,
How you be knowing?
I can tell by some of the hostile. You got to look at certain code words. Like a white boy call up, "Hey Tariq, I'm really for reparations. You know, I think probably there's a lot of fatherlessness in the black community right there. Because that's one of them white supremacist talking points. So I catch their little jabs. That's real passive aggressive. Then I say, oh, okay, you one of them. So now I'm about to get you.
Is your education institutional or self-taught?
It's self-taught because I'm a high school dropout, man. I dropped out of high school in the 11th grade, man.
Cold nigga, because I just seen motherfuckers who seem like they know what they talking about hit you with some shit. I'm like, damn, what he gonna say? And without missing a beat, you be coming back with some shit. I'm like, man, you a cold nigga. That's hard. I'm glad to know that.
Yeah, and I don't encourage anybody to drop out of school, man.
Of course not.
Life is education, man. When you experience life, you're supposed to learn from that shit, man. You're supposed to get some game from every experience you get down with, man. We're supposed to learn something. They call the universe a university. That's why university is called a university, because the universe is a school.
Wait a minute, because T or E, I take the T out, but the E-ology or all that is always a study of a certain thing.
Right.
So you think university is a study of the universe,
right?
A complete synopsis of what we understand the universe to be. I never even made that connection.
A lot of folks don't, man.
Wow.
The universe is a damn school. You're supposed to learn from all of it. That's what Einstein.
That's why they say experience is the best teacher.
Right.
As you experience the universe, you should be learning and getting the best education available.
And that's where Einstein was talking about the theory of relativity, that all things are relative. We're supposed to learn about everything. So that's why when a white supremacist call up, I know about European history too. And I can break his shit down because all of that is relative to my history. What they were doing over there and how they ended up coming out of Europe and subjugating the world, because there were black Moors going into Europe saving them from the Black Plague and giving them civilization to build them up, and then they turned on the Moors and then came out and started subjugating Black people.
Turned on the Moors, motivated by what? Because right now, any human being walks up to any door, even if they say don't feed cats and stray dogs. Why? Because they're going to come back and they're going to develop affinity.
Yeah.
So if we did these benevolent things for these people, what caused them to do what you just suggested?
Great question. Up there in Spain, when the Moors were very dominant, they were civilizing the white people in Europe. The Moors had built universities up there. They lifted them out of poverty. They lifted them out of the plagues that were plaguing Europe at the time. And the Europeans up there realized, we're getting darker. All right? The Moors are in power, so they got access to all the white women.
They fucking on shit. Yeah.
That's why the Spanish and the Southern Europeans are always darker than the Northern Europeans. So they said, hey, if we want to maintain this white skin, we got to get them people out of here. That was the motivation of getting them out. That was the real motivation. They had the first blood quantum laws coming out of Spain first, right? And in the Spanish colonies in the Americas, they still have that mejorar la raza, meaning improve the race by lightening it up.
I heard you put somebody on the spot about that about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
About that term that they use casually amongst their culture.
Alex, you know about that term? Mejorar la raza, you heard that growing up? Alex, no? A little bit.
I believe it. I believe it. That's deep.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Yeah.
That ain't my generation.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Give me your perspective on this concept, because I've had a couple of Latin partners here.
Yeah.
Marvelous Inc. for one in particular, and he is a historian that pushes the concept that our people, the black and brown shit, like the whole Israelites and all that shit, that we're one. Is there any truth to that? Do you lean into that concept at all? Because there's a strong concept. He studies all the history of Egypt, Africa, America, black, brown, and from the Aztecs, the Mayans. When he gets his whole overall, he says we're the same, us and him. You have any thoughts on that?
I think he says black, browns, and Native Americans are all from the same. That's the Hebrew Israelite theory.
Well, historically, I think a lot of that is inaccurate, because when the Spanish came over here, they just started raping some of the Native American tribes and the black people too. We always forget that it wasn't just the Spanish and the Native American. The blacks were always there. The African people were always there.
If I rape her, regardless of what race she is, if she gets pregnant, does that not qualify that child as mine and of my lineage now? And
yeah, it's still a child of the lineage.
Yeah, so it's
right.
We can really have a fucked history, no matter how.
So here's the thing.
Okay, break bread, excuse me.
Yeah, everybody in these Spanish cultures have African ancestry. They all do. We know that. But psychologically, that's where the whiteness comes in. Psychologically, they have an affinity with the colonizer. They recognize themselves, or they think that they're more Spanish than anything. That's why you have a bunch of people from Cuba and certain Latin countries who will say, well, yeah, I'm Spanish. They don't say that I'm Cuban or I'm a Latino. I'm Spanish. That's saying I'm white to a certain degree. The biggest Latin American organization in the country, LULAC, the biggest Latin American organization. In the 1930s, the U.S. Census were going to designate Mexicans as their own race. The Latin organization fought against that. They said, no, we don't want to be a distinct race. We are white. We want to be classified as white. They were very distinct about that. Don't let people run this game where they think, well, we all, no. At the end of the day, a lot of people want to identify as white coming from these Latin American countries.
The $5 Indian concept or something totally separate?
Well, no, it's a little different.
Okay,
it's a little different,
keep
yeah. But they classify themselves as white. Going to Puerto Rico, about 70 to 80% of the people there classify themselves as white. A lot of Mexicans who come up, they classify themselves as
regardless
white.
of their appearance, their vocal tone, or their...
Right. Because you got the option to say that you're Native American on these forms. You could easily say, hey, I'm Native American if that's what it is. But many of them opt to say, I'm actually white. So let's be very clear. People will say certain things around us they'll have a camaraderie around us because we embrace them, and then we can kind of Trojan horse them into certain opportunities and advantages and benefits. And we do have some riders, let's be real. We do have some brothers and sisters who are Hispanic, who are riders, who do ride, but we do have a lot of the George Zimmermans out there. And I want y'all to remember with George Zimmerman, after he killed our brother Trayvon Martin,
rest in peace.
They were parading George Zimmerman around talking about he has a black abuela. They were talking about he can't be racist because his grandmother down in Mexico somewhere.
Oh, get out of here.
So they're trying to play that game. You dig?
In between siblings, the most depths of rivalries exist. So if there's any type of racial difference between a sibling, there's no surprise to me that there could be conflict based upon that difference.
Right.
Whether it's race. I have a set of twins in my family. I swear to God, they have the same mother and father. They're born on the same exact day. They're twins. And for all practical reasons, one could be considered the ugly twin and the pretty twin. It's just, they're not identical, but they're so identical that you don't know if they're really fraternal or identical.
Yeah.
Because all the aesthetics, as far as the texture of the hair, the complexion, the color of the eyes, all that's the same.
Yeah.
But everything that caused you to be attracted to a female is exactly opposite. So I can get that concept and understand why people are not able to find. I think a lot of people think in absolutes too much.
Yeah,
and especially when it comes to people who stand on business. But what I can appreciate about when I not only talk to you, but when I just tap in, there's an understanding for the whole collective of perspectives. Usually you take a very firm position and somebody try to challenge you in that position, but you never try to rob them of their position. You just express what we own.
Right.
Y'all can have that.
Yeah.
And if you try to throw this on us, why haven't you done this? I've learned a lot by you just asking certain people questions, man. I've exceeded my time here. Oh God, I appreciate you coming here. I wanted to try to stretch it out because I don't know when I can get you again. You're so busy, right?
No doubt.
But I appreciate you being here. Anything you want to leave the people with?
2 last questions. Ask him what ethnic group is the biggest challenge to his FBA concept, and what's ethnic group is the biggest challenge to his hip hop position.
Before I get up out of here, because I've extended my time, just ask you 2 questions. As far as your 2 campaigns I'm familiar with currently, just your overall racial perspective, what's the 1 or the 2 biggest oppositions as far as groups culture you think that hinder your message being understood and accepted? And then with this battle with hip hop, what's your biggest opposition when you stand up and say, hey, as a historian of a lot of things, especially my people, I know this took place with hip hop. Who is the biggest voice that's opposing that?
Now, one of the challenges to the FBA lineage, if I can call it a challenge, sometimes the political structure, they're trying to bring in a lot of people to undermine a lot of our progress. They understand as a lineage, we're owed something. When you bring over an immigrant group, you don't owe them anything. They come over here with a plate and fork and they're eating because they're not owed anything. So they're grateful for everything that they get. We're not grateful for little trinkets here and there. No, you owe us. We built this. We built everything. You owe us something. So what they want to do, they would like to mix in a lot of people with us and have those people act as our spokespersons. And that undermines us to a certain degree.
We got this. Why y'all complaining?
Right. I.e. Candace Owens. I think Candace Owens, I think she said one part of her family comes from North Carolina, but the other one's from the Caribbean, but she identifies with Caribbean. They understand people with dual allegiances can be useful tools. That's how they conquered Africa. You got the Portuguese and the Spanish going into West African countries, mating with the native people. The offspring, they called them Lencados, I think. They used those Lencados as some of the slave traders. Those were the ones gathering people up and selling them off.
Who had relations on both sides.
They had dual allegiances. There was another slave trader from East Africa named Tipu Tip who was half black native and half Arab. He identified with the Arab part. and had a camaraderie with that against the black side. So they understand getting people with dual allegiances to undermine the black side. So we're very careful about letting the dual allegiance people come around us acting as representatives. Now, as far as hip hop, the biggest challenge to that is letting the media lie about all of these people creating it. Not only are they trying to lie about Latinos and Caribbeans creating hip hop, they're now trying to say Asians created hip hop too, because they created the drum machines and the turntables. Right. They're reaching for the damn stars with this stuff. So that's why we're doing our movie to combat that stuff.
If these other communities are such a friend to our struggle that is obvious in America, and they know what we are establishing and claiming, how do they consider themselves friendly when they want a lot? Nobody's trying to take tacos.
Right.
Nothing's better than the black taco. But the most popular taco is the street taco. We know it's, or the originator taco. I would pass that up for a black ground meat taco every day. But that's still y'all shit. Why does it feel like in the whole world, nobody wants to say, hey, we're doing the black thing? If they do it, it has to be our thing.
Right.
We can do tacos. We can do anything that's not. We can do spaghetti and say, salute to y'all, we love spaghetti.
And the reason why that is because we're supposed to have a slave relationship with everybody. In slavery, when we created something, we had to give it to massa. Our labor, our work, our inventions, they had to benefit from it, and we couldn't benefit from our own labor. So other groups want to come and do the exact same thing. If we create hip hop, well, we all created it. If we create a new dance, we all created house. We all created trap music. It's that. They feel like it's a slave mentality. We got to give them.
Electricity. Come on,
talk. Yeah.
Currently, I just recently heard you.
I was talking about a brother named Lewis Latimer, who was the real person who created the light bulb, and he wrote the first book on electric lighting. And I was arguing with a white supremacist. He was like, well, no, there had to be somebody before him. Exactly. Like, who? I don't know, but somebody.
That's how they look at it.
Right.
Who made the pyramids? Aliens.
Right. They got to give it to somebody else. So that's why it's up to us to kind of control these narratives.
I appreciate that, man. Y'all do me a favor. Once again, you said the Hidden History Museum is located in West LA, right?
Oh yeah, it's on West Jefferson Boulevard. Y'all come down to the Hidden History Museum, open Monday through Friday. Go to hiddenhistorymuseum.com. Also check out our deodorant. We got a deodorant line called Rootwork at rootworkstyle.com, because some of you motherfuckers are musty. So go to rootworkstyle.com and get that deodorant. This is my guy right here, man. Again, I don't do interviews like that. I do very select interviews, but this is one of the realest cats out here, man. I fuck with this dude heavy. I respect my brother's opinion about a lot of stuff. Just a real honorable dude, man, and that's rare. You know, you got so much goofy shit coming.
And all I can do is take the mirror. Everything he say, they usually say this when you insult somebody, but I'm wherever you live. Whatever you say to me, go right back to you.
My man, anytime, brother.
Yes, sir.
The life we living now is all about the money. So what you gonna do when you ain't got no money? Your foreign cars and all the